Hey everyone, meteorologist Ethan Emery here. Apologies for the technical difficulties. We're running into some issues with our YouTube channel, but we have since alleviated those issues. And now we are live for our Thursday edition of 19 at noon. And we've got a lot to talk about. The beginning thing is, of course, the Bengals. We are the flagship station, of course, for the Cincinnati Bengals. And we are also talking about the updated drought monitor that got released earlier this morning. Not sure if Frank or Catherine showed it, but it does show some improvement, but also worsening conditions in part of the Fox 19 Now viewing area. So we'll talk about all of that here in just a couple of minutes. But I do want to let you know that, of course, we are going to be looking at that forecast, which does feature some hotter conditions as we head on into this weekend, into next week, especially next week, with highs getting back in the 90s. And we'll talk more about that here in just a few minutes. So again, thank you all so much for joining us here on this Thursday edition of 19 at noon. Meteorologist Ethan Emery here. We'll set the camera pulled up here in just a moment. But hopefully you're all having a fantastic Thursday. I'll tell you what, the weather has been absolutely beautiful here in the tri-state. And here, we go ahead and rolling now. So here we are, 19 at noon, meteorologist Ethan Emery here. So again, hopefully you've all had a very happy Thursday. And make sure I did the post correctly. Believe I did. Okay, yep, we did. Say, because on YouTube, it's kind of hard to, you have to really wait for it to load, and it can be a little bit slow at times. But just to let you know, too, that we've got the playoff game this evening here on Fox 19. Can't forget about that. And then, of course, meteorologist Catherine Bodakson at 3 and 4. I will be filling in for Chief Meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer at 5 and 6. Also, we'll be back here for the 7:15 weather show. And then Steve will be back to do the 10 and 11. Because Steve is going to be live at Paycor. So you'll have to see that at the game. And I don't know if we're going to have it live on Fox 19. Hopefully we do. If my bosses are watching, see if we can make that happen. If not, still, if you're heading to the game, you're going to see the Chief there giving you the forecast, which, by the way, it is beautiful when you step outside. Let's switch it now over to our rooftop camera here in Queensgate in the studios, just above the studios on our rooftop, looking towards, I believe, downtown Cincinnati and at Paycor. So once this loads, okay, it's just Paycor. You can see there a little bit of a breeze out there, but it is nice. A lot of sunshine, blue skies, and right now it's 73 degrees, a very crisp 73 here this hour. And I want to start off with the drought monitor because this came in and it shows, again, some improvement for some locations and other locations, not so much. So once this loads, you'll see here that we are going to be looking at some red in part of the area, and that is what we call extreme drought conditions. That's a level 3 out of 4. Now, I know there's 5 colors. Yellow is deemed 0 by the drought monitor. You know, that's just the logic behind it, but it is on the higher spectrum. Just think of it that way. So red is extreme, and indeed the eastern half of Highland County is under extreme drought conditions. I know a lot of my family's property out there is dealing with that. I know a lot of folks out there who are in agriculture who are dealing with that, and it has been a struggle for them. But that is happening far out to our eastern county. So Highland County, anywhere from moderate to severe drought conditions, depending on where you live out in Highland County. Portions of northern Adams County under severe drought conditions. Portions of Clinton County under moderate drought conditions. Even portions of Brown County under moderate drought conditions. But everyone else, fortunately, just has abnormally dry conditions. That rain we had over the weekend did actually help. From Cincinnati to Batavia, down to Maysville, Falmouth, Dry Ridge. And then, again, we know that it's been dry, but it's improved from that rain we had over the weekend, especially Saturday with those showers and storms. There was a lot of heavy rain, but it did improve things a little bit. Unfortunately, the forecast does not bode well to alleviate more of those drought conditions. So take a look at radar right now from a regional standpoint, and we are looking at, again, the reinforcement of that high pressure system, keeping things nice and dry for us here into the Ohio Valley. In fact, you don't even see any cloud cover. So what we're going to do is just zoom this out a little bit. And what we've got here is you can kind of see the direction of these high, thin clouds right here. And you've got this. So this right here is a ridge of really strong high pressure. It's been really hot for folks towards Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, which it's not always unusual to see the hot conditions, but it's been very hot down there. This is going to push its way into the Mississippi River Valley and in portions of the Ohio Valley. Not quite as strong, but still going to bring us above normal temperatures as we head on into early next week. So we are continuing to stay dry all the way up until at least early next week, at least until Monday. Could we see the chance for maybe a pop-up shower or storm? And ahead of all that, it's just a steady incline of temperature. So right now we're at 73 degrees here in Cincinnati, and looking at the dew points, the measure of the moisture in the air, very dry air mass overhead. So we've got this cooler high pressure over us, and it's allowing, again, very dry conditions. Dew points in the 40s. That's why it's been feeling so crisp and cool in the mornings and in the evenings. And during the daytime hours, it's kind of helped limit those temperatures from rising too warm with just how dry the air mass is. Right now, though, 74 at the Lunken Airport, 70 in Batesville, 70 in Wilmington, and 72 down in Falmouth. And again, the dew points, very dry, very comfortable air mass overhead. And the winds, a little bit of a breeze out there, 5 to maybe 15 miles per hour, with wind gusts at around 20, close to 25 miles per hour. And that's about it for today. We're not looking at any gusts stronger than that. And today's high temperature, we're rising up to about 81. So just a little bit below normal, but not by much. And we're going to call it mostly sunny throughout the day. And from what I've been seeing, this is the coolest day over the next 7 days. And maybe you didn't hear about this, but today is the start of fall for folks who go to Starbucks. And I couldn't resist. I had to get a pumpkin spice latte. I had my windows open last night. I woke up. It was actually chilly for the first time in a while, so I felt like fall, although the forecast still has summer. If you're traveling across the region today, 72 up in Cleveland, 79 in Chicago, 81 down in Lexington, 79 in Columbus, 88 down in Nashville, and then 80 up in St. Louis. Mostly sunny conditions there, right along the Missouri River and Mississippi River. But take a look at the Bengals graphic for the game. And this is happening at 8 o'clock, so if you're tailgating, temperatures will be in the upper 70s. Kickoff at 8 o'clock, 73, and by halftime, 68 degrees. So looking good, and of course you can't make it to Paycor. You can watch it here on Fox 19 now. So the next few days is dry. I don't need to tell you that. You probably already know that by watching us. You watched Frank this morning. You probably watched Catherine. They're telling you, hey, it's going to be dry next few days. So what I'm going to do is show you the forecast for early next week. So notice this over towards Iowa and Illinois. Remember I told you about that ridge, the really hot air down in Texas? That high pressure is going to move into the lower Ohio Valley. As it does that, you're going to have these episodic ridge riders, these clusters or complex of storms. And these are the ones that usually bring in quite a punch with them. A lot of heavy rain, some gusty winds, some hail. Even the risk of tornado chance cannot be ruled out with these things. This is Sunday. We have nothing to worry about here. But I just wanted to point this out, that over towards Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, that's where the beginning of this pattern is going to begin to impact those locations. So that's Sunday. We go into Monday. We're dry to start the day. The afternoon looks relatively dry too. Now, I can't rule out a pop-up chance just because of the heat and the buildup of humidity, but take a look at this. We go into Tuesday, and notice how the activity is developing to our north. Now, I will say, forecasting these things are very tricky, and it really depends on where the edge of that high pressure is, or I don't say the edge so much to speak. There really is no sharp-cut boundary of what's high and low pressure, but it kind of depends on where the hotter, more humid air is versus the drier, more milder air is along this high pressure, or along the edge of the high pressure, so to speak. Again, it's not exactly that way, but you got to think of it that way in this situation. And wherever that sets up will allow these cluster of storms to fire off. And right now there is a lot of uncertainty as to where that could be. So this model, which has been pretty reliable, and it actually showed this this past weekend when I was doing 19 at 6, I showed this and I talked about how Tuesday and Wednesday could have the potential for some storms in the area. And it's really far out to talk about any kind of impacts or any discussions on it, though if there are any discussions with it, it could be heavy rain and gusty winds. But anyway, this model is now pushing it further north, and we'll go ahead and play this out going into Tuesday night. And into Wednesday, again, it has Wednesday mainly dry now. So there's still this uncertainty in where this is going to set up. This is going into Wednesday night. This model now has this way up here to the north. When I was looking at it a couple of days ago, this was all the way over here. So it just goes to show you that there are some questions that are yet to be answered. Not to mention, we're looking at almost a week out. These things almost take up to the day before to really figure out where they'll develop, where they'll go. And so this is something we'll have to monitor for, I think, Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, as well as Thursday. Because you can see here, Thursday, we got some activity developing. And then by the end of the week, look at that. That is a cold front. And this is going to bring in a shot of milder, more seasonable air for next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend here in the tri-state. But still looking pretty warm for much of next week. And you'll see here that that front will finally pass through on Saturday. So here is the latest 7-day forecast, and we might need to make a couple of adjustments or tweaks here and there. And I need to look at the data a little bit more in depth to make those tweaks, and I'll be doing that this afternoon. And of course, having an update on fox19.com/weather when I get the chance to do so. So here is that 7-day. So you can see the temperatures Thursday up to 81 degrees. Tonight into Friday morning, still mild, still comfortable, 56 for a morning low. Friday, 85, sunny and warm. We're in the upper 80s on Saturday. We finally make it to 90 on Sunday. We're in the low 90s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And again, Tuesday and Wednesday, a lot of question marks with that. So if you're asking for specifics, if you're asking for a timeline, can't give it to you. Anybody out there who tries to give you a timeline for it, they're making it up, because that far out with the kind of pattern that's setting up, one model run to the next is going to change quite a bit, and it's just going to be dependent on the conditions that are there, whether it's the humidity, temperature, the wind, where that high pressure is going to be situated at. And once we have a better idea as to where that high pressure is going to sit, then we'll be able to give you more details. But this is 6-7 days out, so still got some time to work out the and tweak things as we get closer. But Tuesday, Wednesday definitely has that possibility for showers and storms in the region. That's the sure bet with this upcoming pattern. All right, we've got some questions here. Cheyenne says, is it going to be dry on Monday? Well, it looks like Frank updated the forecast to show drier conditions. And what I just showed you in the model, it does look to trend a little bit drier, but I can't rule out the pop-up chance. Models are beginning to show that reinforcement of maybe that humidity and heat to allow for popcorn variety shower or storm. But Tuesday and Wednesday, again, there are questions. Rachel asks, what's your opinion on Tuesday for the potential of severe weather, and also what would the risks be for Tuesday? Now, I mentioned just a little bit ago, but I'll say it again, is that there's no timeline right now. The risks based on the pattern would be heavy rain, strong, potentially damaging winds, and frequent lightning. Those are kind of the majority of the impact you get from those complex storms. Now, that being said, as we get closer, that could change. But if you were to keep an eye on this, those are the things to look out for primarily in this situation. So damaging straight line winds, very heavy rainfall, which I know some people might be welcoming considering how dry things have been. But those two things are kind of I think the severe potential right now for Tuesday, because those complex storms can be really tricky. Now, as we get closer, if that complex storm system is, one way or the other, could we see a potential for rotation in the storm? Perhaps. But this far out, you can't make that claim yet. There's just certain things you got to look out for in those complex storms, and we just don't have all that information quite yet. So, of course, we'll let you know here as we get closer. So thank you, Rachel, for asking that question. I know, Rachel, you're very active here on our Facebook page, and we really appreciate that because I love the questions. I like being able to test my skills. Now, granted, like I said, I need to look at the data a little bit more in depth, and I might make a few tweaks to this forecast. But right now, Tuesday and Wednesday are both days that I still have an eye on for the potential for maybe a couple of storm systems to move in. And like I said, Friday, so this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so day 9, day 10, we're looking at a front moving in, and that front could provide us for some relief. And with that being a front, that could also pose the risk for maybe a couple of strong storms. Now, that far out, there are a lot of questions that cannot be answered just because of the fact that it's so far out. There's so much data to collect from that. But, and on top of that too, that system is not even in the continental U.S. But, so if you're looking at next week, I would say that for any kind of, impacts, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday are your 3 days to watch out for. No first alert weather days. Not going to give you a timeline. Impacts, they can change, but right now, if anything, strong winds, heavy rain, lightning. And as we get closer, that could change. But right now, that's what I'm thinking. So, okay. Look at my Facebook page real quick to ensure I answer any questions or comments there. Hopefully you're having a good Thursday so far. Got 3 comments on my Facebook page. Carolyn says, love the tie. Yeah, got her up the Bengals since we're the flagship station. CJ says, hi, Ethan. Hi to you, CJ. Yes, the pumpkin spice. Yeah, so if you're going to Starbucks, they do have pumpkin spice now and a couple more fall things. I try to avoid it as much as I can because there's a lot of sugar in that stuff, but I figured, you know what, it's been quite a week, so I wanted to give myself a treat. So figured, why not? Wouldn't hurt. Got to treat yourself every once in a while. Let's look beyond the 7-day forecast for the Climate Prediction Center's outlooks. These will be updated this afternoon, though I will say the data yesterday I do agree with, and it's going to be above normal temperatures in the next 8 to 14 days. And with the shading is probability, does not mean the intensity. So with it being this medium shade orange, it means that there's better confidence with this, and I agree with that, of saying that highs will very likely be, let me look at the dates specifically. So this would be the 29th through the 5th. So basically going into Labor Day weekend and all through Labor Day week. Temperatures look, for the most part, to be near or just above normal. And by that I mean we're looking at the mid-80s for the majority of that time. Could be a couple of days in the upper 80s. But the first few days of September do look warm. I have, the data is really suggesting that, and I do agree. And when it comes to the moisture, unfortunately, it's not going to be well for us because pretty dry air mass is going to be setting up in the portions of the lower Ohio Valley and into the Tennessee Valley, into the upper Mississippi Valley. And then looking ahead to the next 3 to 4 weeks, so this is going through the majority of September. This has us, it's a little bit above normal, but I will say this data is mostly for the beginning of that time frame. I think temperatures are going to actually get a little bit cooler towards the end of September, just from what I have seen so far. And along with that, the moisture is near normal, and with how dry it's going to be the next 2 weeks, it's not going to help the drought conditions at all. So something we'll have to continuously monitor here at Fox 19 and give you updates as they can become available. And by the way, the drought monitor gets issued once a week. They pull the data on Tuesday, analyze it, publish it on Thursdays. And so I know the 70 is going to pop up. Let's look at the drought monitor first for folks who are who are chiming in. So once the computer loads, we'll be able to do that real quick. So here we have it, the drought monitor. As you can see, a lot of yellow, which is better than what it was last week. Last week we had a lot of this Band-Aid beige color, and that's indications of a moderate drought. But the yellow indicates abnormally dry, which means, yeah, it's dry, but it's not technically a drought yet. And that's because of all the rain we had over the weekend. So it did help the surface moisture, the surface soil moisture, that is. And so a lot of northern Kentucky, a lot of southwest Ohio dealing with still some dry conditions, but it is an improvement. It's a short-term improvement from the weekend rain. However, my neck of the woods where I grew up, Highland County, and then also towards the Scioto Valley from Grove City down to Chillicothe, Waverly, over towards southeast Ohio, towards Athens, over towards the Wayne National Forest, over towards Parkersburg, Cambridge. They're looking at severe to extreme drought conditions. So something we'll have to really monitor. And if you live out in those locations, and I'm talking to you, Highland County, as well as northern Adams County, those are the areas that are in our viewing area that have the highest certainty of dealing with these extreme drought conditions, is even at nights, not a good idea to burn stuff unless you have water ready to go. And I don't know if there are burn bans in those spots. I know sometimes the burn ban questions can be tricky depending on your jurisdiction of township, city, county. I know in Indiana they do it on county level. In the state of Ohio, from what I remember, it's a statewide thing, and they usually do it in the fall and spring. But there are also situations like this where they might issue those. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for any jurisdiction, city, county, anything like that, township. But my advice, if you need to burn something, just wait. Because with how dry it's going to be, unless you can control it, it can spread pretty quickly with just given how dry the vegetation is, because the soil is just so dry. So again, the drought monitor does have extreme drought conditions in Highland County. And I'll post this on our social media. I'll post this on my Facebook page at the conclusion of this video. Because we've got to end things really soon, because we've got to get ready for Now in the Natty. Okay, so the 7-day forecast once more. High today of 81, 56 for tonight to Friday morning, 85 for your Friday, upper 80s to low 90s for the weekend with morning lows in the low to mid 60s. Next week, hot and humid, highs in the low 90s with storm chances, particularly Tuesday and Wednesday. Questions unanswered right now on the strength of those storms and the location of those storms for that matter. I'll answer one final question I see here on the Fox 19 Facebook page. Kelly saying, I miss you in the mornings. I miss working in the mornings as well. What time spots are you on? Well, it's all over the place. So I'm only on the air guaranteed on weekends, on Saturday and Sunday evenings. However, if there's any kind of availability of anyone taking time off or anybody who unfortunately gets sick, I can step up and fill in on Thursdays and Fridays, whether it be for Catherine or for Steve. And I will say that I'm filling in for Steve today at 5 and 6 while he's out at Paycor Stadium. And then on Friday, I'll be filling in for him on the 7:15 streaming show, the 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock newscast on Friday nights. So my Friday nights are going to be with Trisha and Rob or whoever else is anchoring the desk, and going to be a lot of fun doing that. So thanks for asking, Kelly. Yeah, I do miss working the morning show, but this is the schedule now. All right, 12:27. We're going to have to wrap things up because we got to get ready for Now in the Natty. So again, thank you all so much for joining us here on this Thursday edition of 19 at noon. Again, we got your forecast covered at 3 o'clock, and of course, we got all of your pregame coverage here on Fox 19 and the preseason game. Don't forget, we got the Colts at 8 o'clock kickoff. Get to watch some of the players who are trying to make a roster spot here on Fox 19.